Hello everyone, I thought it would be a good idea to give you an intro to SAM. So most of your content, your textbook, the activities are going to be in what's called SAM, which you can find in content. So I'm going to click in content, and by the way, content is where you can find basically all of the content for your class. So make sure you've thoroughly read the syllabus, but once you've done that, you're going to go into Module 1, and we're going to complete Module 1 and then move on through all the modules in this class. So Module 1's a little bit different because it only has exams and I believe a capstone project. So as we come in here and we're looking through the content, you'll see that there are some of these that have this little arrow with a box underneath it. This icon is indicating that it's going to take you to the external learning tool called SAM. So if I click on this, it should open it up. And once it loads, it's going to take you directly into, well, that link takes you directly into the book. So I'll go ahead and close this. So this can give you a tour, but we're going to skip that for right now. And right now we're in the chapter called Essential Computer Concepts. This is where you can skip to different parts of that chapter, or if you want to start from the beginning, you can go left and right here. So read through all that information, hit left or right, and keep doing that until you get through the end of the chapter. Now you can also go to chapter contents to, again, skip to whichever area you need to refresh. And you can also hit the X in the top right corner to get into the entire kind of SAM environment. So this is that chapter that we were just in, so I could click on this to open up that chapter again. And then here's where we have all the SAM training and the SAM exams. And if we look down at Word Module 2, you'll see that there's also assignments and projects. So let's look at Module 1. This one's a little bit weird. This says not graded, but it also counts towards the grade. This is just something we can't control. This is an error that's happening. So it actually is not graded. So ignore this part for this particular one. This is just the training to help prepare you for the exam for this chapter. And there's actually 3 exams. Here's 1, 2, and 3. And you can see all of these. This is the training for Internet Basics. This is the exam for Internet Basics. So basically with all of these, you can read the chapter, go through the entire chapter, and then this is also offering you extra training that supplements those kind of hands-on activities that you'll do in later modules. So I can go ahead and click on this, and it's going to open up a window that gives you a system check. So if I click on that system check, it'll bring it up, and as you can see, it's giving me 1 error. The rest of it should be just fine. And with this error, it says Flash is disabled on this computer, so enable it. And you can call the 24/7 help desk for CCC Online. Their phone number is linked on the home page of our course to get help with this. Or if you're in Google Chrome, that's what I use, and I recommend that you use the latest version of Google Chrome. Next to the URL, you should see a little padlock. If you click on that, it'll ask you if you want to enable Flash. If for some reason it doesn't, and it didn't for me the first time I did this, you just need to click Site Settings. And then this is all the settings for this possible site. And what it's usually doing for Flash is it's saying, okay, by default, it's going to ask you if you want to play this content. Well, that causes problems sometimes when you're working in modules like this because it doesn't know that it needs to ask you. It just expects it to run. So it's saying that you just need to change this to say allow, so there's not that kind of in-between question that stops everything. So once I've changed that, I can close this tab and it will save that setting. Now back on the System Check tab, I can hit the refresh button, and that's going to give me a full green. I'm good to go. Now, if for some reason it still is not making it all green, again, you can call that 24/7 help desk, or you can actually try the module and see if things are working just fine. And if they are, then you should be good to go. All right, so once I've passed the system check, I'm going to hit start, and it's going to bring up this little window. And what I wanted to explain about this window is, first of all, you're going to pay attention to a couple of areas. This is where you have intro, observe, and then sometimes there's a practice, and then there's apply. So what it's basically is saying is that you need to go through all of the intro, then you need to go through the observe section. So this intro section, if I were to hit play, and I think it's pretty loud, so hang on.
In this assignment, you'll learn about the Central Processing Unit, or CPU,
okay,
known as the brain of a computer.
So now when I click on observe, you can see there's a play button again. The tricky thing with the observe is that there's actually many things to observe. This is just one, which is processor cores. So make sure you look through this drop-down menu to observe all the different things you need to observe. And then the apply is for this particular task. So if I click on here, this task is talking about central processing unit. So all of these observe and the introduction were all about the CPU, and then the apply is actually a little mini quiz related to the CPU. So you're going to go ahead and read the directions, and then the smallest unit of time in a process. I'm actually not going to answer that because I want you to see when it's wrong and when it's right. So see how it's giving you immediate feedback. So once you're done with that particular task, you'll see a green check mark here. So forms. Well, now I'm just going to give you the answers, but don't copy this. You should actually know this. So smallest unit of time. Nope. I always get that one wrong. Okay. So once this is completed, then you have done that task and it takes you to the next one. So if I look up here in the tasks, you can see that this one has a green check mark, meaning you finish that task and you answer all the questions correctly. So if you're trying to do that quiz or the exam first, just know that you want to make sure that you really understand that content before you actually do the exam. In my mind, I would rather come in here and do these trainings and go through each of these different little applies and make sure I got it before I actually did that exam. But remember, this training for module 1 and later modules, they are all graded, but for this one, it's not graded. So if you didn't want to do this because you already know everything about, computers, then you don't have to if you don't want to. Just be aware that it might cause problems if you take the exam and you didn't actually know. All right, so you can scroll through the tasks, and by the way, you can jump to different tasks. So let's say I don't know what the web lab is, or I really do know what web lab is, then this is going to allow me to fly through this really quickly, and then I can save the harder tasks that I want to take more time on for later. So I'm going to go ahead and close this, and then back in here, close this particular area. And so this I just finished. Let's pretend I finished it. And then I need to go to the exam. So when I come to the exam, it's going to do a system check again. And the one thing it's going to tell you is that you are about to start the exam. Once you begin, you cannot stop and restart. So make sure that you have created a schedule for yourself and that when you're about to do this exam, you've blocked off an hour or 2 hours. In fact, time the first couple of exams that you do and see how long it normally takes you, so that you give yourself ample enough time, because you can't stop. You can't pause it. You can't leave your computer and then come back to it. And if you do in the middle of a quiz, kind of shut it down or leave your computer, it'll give the grade like 50% of the questions were answered. So that's not a good thing. So make sure that you've blocked off that time. Now, it also says that it can't be retaken, no retakes allowed, etc. But it also says incorrect actions allowed per performance task 3, which means you can get 3 questions wrong and you still get to do it over and over and over. So I'm going to hit start on this, and you can see that there's going to be 1 of 11 tasks in here, and these should directly relate to those applies that we just did in the training. So if you remember, a test to determine processor speed is going to be no, that's wrong, whatever. So when you submit it, I'm just going to see how it's not giving you feedback as you're doing this. So it's different than the training. When I hit submit, we can either go to the next task and I can get the 3 out of 5 or 2 out of 5 that I did correctly, or I can retry this task. And notice that this went down to 2 when I said to retry. So I can do this again, and if I still don't get them all right, it'll give me that chance to retry it. But now I'm down to 1. So this is my last chance to get them all right. Once I do it, it's going to keep whatever score is the highest. So I'm going to hit submit. It says answers incorrect, so it just moves on to the next task. You can see that I got an incorrect answer here. This one, if I were to get all 5 of them right, it would show a green check mark, and you got to do all 11 before this exam is done. So I'm going to go ahead and close that and get back in here. And last thing I'm going to show you is when you get down to module 2 and later, you'll notice that you have the chapter that you can read, but then there's also things called assignments and projects. These are a little bit different. When I click on assignment, it's probably still going to do a system check, And remember, it cannot stop and restart it, so block off some time. And in this one, it's going to ask you to do a task. So it says show the formatting marks in the document and then hide them again. So I know I can click this to show them and click it again to hide them. It says answers correct, advance to the next task. So if it says show the horizontal and vertical rulers, let's do something that's incorrect, like center. See how it says answer incorrect? You can go to the next task or you can retry. And again, it gives you 2 more attempts to try to retry that. So view, and then rulers, no, not review. View, ruler, pass it, go to the next task. So as you can see, there are 39 little tasks that it's going to ask you to perform in this particular assignment. Okay, so let's go into the project. So remember, you don't actually want to close any of that. You want to finish all the tasks. You can't leave it. So it'll say read each step completely. All right. So in here, it'll say here's your instruction file. You can download it, and then your actual start file, and you can download it. So I'm going to click on that. It's going to go to my downloads folder. So I'm going to open instructions, and then I'm going to open this document. And so here's the document it's going to ask me to do things on. And then here it's going to say save the file as, and then change 1 to a 2 if you do not see the doc, project steps, apply the fill green accent 1 shadow text effect to the heading Verbena farm stand. So I'm going to come in here and go to the fill color and try to find that fill green accent, whatever it said, and apply that. So once you're done with all of these, it'll ask you to submit it. And this gives you a preview of what it should look like when you're ready to submit it. So in the last steps, it'll say check your spelling, etc., because all that stuff is going to matter as well when it's graded. So then you'll submit it, and it'll go through all that and see what is correct and what is not. And I believe you do get a couple of chances to fix any mistakes you might have.